like going to a moose for some music in Maine. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today we're going to be taking a quick detour from movies to focus on music, specifically the albums I picked up on Record Store Day this year. I usually try to grab a Blu-ray or two while I'm at Bull Moose, but things were pretty chaotic this year, so I opted to just stick with the vinyl. For those who don't know, Record Store Day is an initiative to support independent music stores that's occurred every April since 2008, with obviously an exception a few years ago. I used to go every year from 2013 to 2019, but I hadn't gone in person for it since then. I always go to Bull Moose, even if it's just their online store, which is fitting because they were the ones to come up with the idea and write the proposal for the original Record Store Day. Each year, a number of exclusive records and singles and EPs are released, but usually in pretty limited quantities, so it's always a mad dash to try to grab what you want, and inevitably you're not going to get everything, so you just have to hope you can get it when they post the remaining stock for all of the stores online the next morning. I didn't have a ton of luck in store this year, but I did manage to get quite a few of the albums I wanted online, plus a couple non-Record Store Day exclusive albums I've been looking for years. So I'm going to break this haul up into 4 sections, and I'll have timestamps for each of them in the description below. First, I'm going to talk about the non-RSD exclusive albums that I picked up. Then I'll talk about a few RSD exclusives from the past couple years that I was finally able to find this year. Then the 2023 RSD exclusives, and finally 2 records that aren't RSD exclusives and probably could have gone in the first section, but are albums I know I'm going to be gushing about because I've wanted them for so long, so I want to end on those ones. Okay, so kicking off with the non-Record Store Day exclusive albums, we've got an album by Bad Religion. So this is The Process of Belief by a band that I really enjoy. This isn't my favorite album by Bad Religion, but there's still quite a few really good songs on here. Sorrow, Kyoto Now, songs like that are on here. And this, I probably wouldn't have grabbed it. Like I said, this isn't my favorite Bad Religion album, far from my least favorite, but I probably wouldn't have grabbed it if it didn't have this little sticker here that said limited anniversary edition colored vinyl. And I'm a sucker for colored vinyl. Anytime I see it, even if it's an album that I only somewhat like, or a band that I'm only kind of into, if I happen to see a colored vinyl edition when I'm out looking at albums, I can't resist it. And so this one, it's called Galaxy Orange, and it's been a little tough to pull out here, so let me see if I can get, oh, okay, of course, now it comes out easily on camera, so that's helpful. So there we go, we got Galaxy Orange, so it's kind of this orange and black mix. So that's pretty cool. I have a single, maybe 2 singles by Bad Religion, but this is actually my first Bad Religion full record, which is surprising to me, but I've got it, so now I guess I'll kind of low-key be on the lookout for the rest of their pretty large discography. Okay, so next up we've got an album that I really love, and that is Sing Sing Death House by The Distillers. So this is the second album by The Distillers. I already have their third album, their currently final album, Coral Fang, on vinyl. So now I just gotta look out for their first one, their eponymous album. But this is one that I really love. So unlike The Process of Belief, right, this is one that I was really happy to see, but I was made even happier by the fact that this is another one that had that limited anniversary edition colored vinyl deal going on. So this one, it's another galaxy colored vinyl, but it's not orange. This one instead, okay, this one is being challenging to get out. Try and pull it out a little bit. So it's galaxy green. So it's that same kind of blend with the black, but this time it's sort of a darker, sort of tealish forest green color. So I think a lime green would have worked a little bit better with this one, but whatever, not gonna complain. It's colored vinyl. Like I said, major sucker for that. But this is a great album. If you haven't listened to The Distillers and you like punk, definitely check them out. Definitely check this one out. It's not quite as raw, I guess, as their first album, but it's not quite as polished and bordering on poppy. Not really poppy for Coral Fang, but a couple songs are more pop oriented, pop punk oriented. But this one is kind of a nice balance in between the two. And it's got some really good songs on it. So definitely check that out if you are not familiar with the band. And last up from my non-RSD exclusive albums, at least of this first batch, like I said, I have those two that I'm going to show you at the very end because I'm so excited about them. But last up for this batch is Franz Ferdinand, their first album. This is another one that I absolutely adore. I've been a fan of this band since this album came out. I listened to this a lot back then, 2004, I want to say. So I happened to see this and I was like, well, of course I have to get this. I love this album. And I was kind of happy to see it. I know you're not going to be able to really see it well on the video, but this is actually raised up, like they're kind of embossed letters, which I was not expecting. So that was nice, but great album. Unfortunately not colored vinyl, I know. But it's still one that I'm really happy to have and to be able to pick up. Because again, I love this album. Their first two are really great, but this one especially, there's really not a song on here I dislike. Obviously Take Me Out, everybody knows that one, but Jacqueline, The Dark of the Matinee, Cheating on You, This Fire, Michael, 40 Feet, just kind of hit after hit, at least for me. And these guys are also really good live. I saw them in 2018. So it's been a little while since I saw them. They have a slightly different lineup now. They actually just got a new drummer. I think she's the drummer. I'm pretty sure she's the drummer. So I haven't seen them since they got their new drummer, obviously. But before, really, really good. So check them out. Even if you're kind of only sort of into the music, they put on a really good live show. And surprisingly, and something I thought was kind of interesting, they don't lead off or end with Take Me Out. You'd expect their big hit, right, to be the song they start with or kind of their encore song, but at least for the show I went to, they put it right in the middle. So that was kind of cool. Random little factoid there, but very happy to be able to pick this one up. Okay, so now we're moving on to the old Record Store Day exclusive albums. So the ones that aren't 2023, but are albums that I had wanted from the last couple of years, but hadn't been able to find before now. And they happened to have them in stock, so I was pretty excited for that. So first up is a single, the only single of the bunch this year. And this is a single called Thank You by Best Coast. So I really love Best Coast. I think in my last Record Store Day haul video back in like 2019, it's been a while since I did one of these, I think I picked up another single by them, or maybe an EP by them. But this one's just two songs, and these were unreleased songs from their, I think, most recent album, Always Tomorrow. And so we've got Birthday and Sweetness on here. It's just black, not colored vinyl, unfortunately. I don't know if I've ever seen a colored single. I'm sure they exist, but it would be cool. It would have been nice for this to be teal, but whatever. Again, not being picky. But these are two songs that I have not heard, right? They're not really online or not on Spotify at least. And so I'm kind of excited. This was from 2020. So this was the year when everything kind of went crazy with the world, but also with Record Store Day. So I'm glad I was able to actually find this. Never thought I would end up getting this one. Similarly, we've got another slightly less old Record Store Day exclusive. So this one's from 2021, I believe. And this is The Zombies, Oddities, and Extras. So the Zombies are a band that I really, really like. One of my favorite 60s bands. And I know definitely in that 2019 Record Store Day video, I picked up a couple Zombies things. I think I picked up an album and at least one or two singles that year. So anytime I see anything Zombies, I always grab it. But this is kind of, as it says, Oddities and Extras. So just to read what it says on here, a bespoke collection of rare singles and essentially UK-only album tracks from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. So this was the year, I'm assuming, that they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So this one, there's some songs on here that I know and I'm familiar with, so I must have some of those UK-only CDs over there. But I'm excited for this nonetheless, and I really like the title here, Oddities and Extras, right? Because there's no way that's not intentional as a reference to Odyssey and Oracle, Oddities and Extras. I don't know. It's for any Zombies fans, you probably caught that and thought that was funny, but for the rest of you, then whatever, you probably don't care. But the Zombies, great band. Odyssey and Oracle, the one that it's referencing, is my all-time favorite album. So, like I said, anytime I see the Zombies, I pick them up, even though it's not, it's not a colored vinyl. Okay, so now the 2023 exclusives. I want to start by quickly talking about the albums I wanted but couldn't find. First up was the Donnas' early singles 1995 to 1999. I didn't see this anywhere in the store, and it wasn't even shown online the next day as sold out. It just wasn't there at all. So I don't know if this got pulled last minute or what, but the Donnas were a band that I used to listen to quite a bit in high school. Honestly, I haven't listened to them a ton lately, but this still would have been nice to have. Next up is the album I'm most disappointed about not getting, the Lemonade Yellow pressing of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Up Your Alley. I love Joan Jett and have for a very long time. I finally got to see her in concert last summer, actually. And so even though Up Your Alley isn't my favorite of her albums, I was still very much looking forward to picking it up on vinyl. I mean, come on, you guys already know I'm apparently a sucker for colored vinyl, so I'm bummed that I didn't get this one. Continuing along alphabetically, we've got Streetcore by Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros. Like the Donnas album, this was another record that didn't even show up online as out of stock the next day. So this was the third album by the band and was Joe Strummer's last album, actually released posthumously. The Clash have been, and still are, one of my all-time favorite bands, and I've always loved Joe Strummer. And even though the Mescaleros are very different, with a much more folksy roots rock style, I would have liked to have had this one too. And last up for the RSD exclusives I wanted but couldn't find is Pleasant Dreams by the Ramones. This was another colored vinyl, of course, oddly enough yellow again, just like Joan Jett. And also like Joan Jett, this isn't my favorite Ramones album, but they're a band I really love, and I still would have liked having it. So, what about the 2023 Record Store Day exclusives that I did actually manage to pick up? First up, going alphabetically, we've got the Cowsills, Rhythm of the World. So this is a new album by an old band. So the Cowsills are a band from primarily the 60s. They're one that I really enjoy from that time, and I've actually seen them live, not in the 60s, obviously, but I have seen them since then, and they're kind of entertaining still, or entertaining now. Again, I have no comparison to them in the 60s, but this is a brand new album by them. I haven't actually listened to this yet, not even like on Spotify, so I have no idea if it's any good, but kind of like with the Zombies, or basically any band that I like, if I happen to see them, happen to see an album by them, especially on Record Store Day, you know I'm gonna try to go for it. And even more so when, of course, it's a colored vinyl, which this is. So we've got a green vinyl here. And so this one's got a little bit of the black, it's not galaxy like Distillers and Bad Religion were, but it's got a little bit of the black swirl in there. They didn't end up cutting this very well. Lots of trim, or I should say trimming it very well. Yeah, so I'm excited to kind of give this one a spin and see what the Cowsills are like now. Because I really enjoy their older stuff. The Rain, the Park, and Other Things, Hair, Indian Lake, and so they've got some really good songs back in the day, so I don't know, we'll see what they're like now. Next up, we've got another older album, or another older band, but this is actually an older album by them as well. And that is Incense and Peppermints by Strawberry Alarm Clock. So this is a band that I really enjoy. I have their compilation that's confusingly also named Incense and Peppermints on CD, which has several of the songs on here, but not all of them, and includes other songs like Barefoot in Baltimore. But this is the actual, just the real album, not the compilation. So this is Record Store Day exclusive, even though for some reason it doesn't have the sticker saying that it is, like everything else has. But it does have a limited edition kind of number on here. So limited edition pressing of 3,000 copies. I got number 1,587. And so really happy to have this one again. When I come across, especially a 60s band that I like, especially on Record Store Day, you know I'm going to go for it. So this has got a lot of good ones, Rainy Day Mushroom Pillow, obviously Incense and Peppermints, which is their big hit, and probably the song that if you know anything by them, you know that one. And of course, we know my favorite quality about many of these records. It is a colored vinyl, and this one is fittingly strawberry pink. So Strawberry Alarm Clock gets a strawberry pink colored vinyl. So that's pretty cool. They were supposed to be offering a blue version as well. And I don't know, I was originally leaning towards the blue one because I like blue a lot better than pink. But I don't know, strawberry pink kind of just works perfectly for this band, I think. So I don't know, if I had actually had the choice between the two, I'm not sure what I would have ended up going with. And next up, we've got Quattro. So this is the, not the fourth album, but rather the second album by Suzi Quatro. And so this kind of like I've talked about with several of the other albums that I had and some of the albums that I didn't get to pick up this year. This is not my favorite Suzi Quatro album. I much prefer her debut. But Quattro still has some really good stuff. I really like her. And obviously, as you could tell from earlier, I really like Joan Jett. And Suzi Quatro was a huge inspiration, both musically and especially stylistically for Joan Jett. Joan Jett was kind of starting off in the Runaways. She was like 15 years old. And Suzi Quatro was, 8 years older probably. So when you're 15, you're looking up to your, early 20s something, inspiration. You pick up a lot of what they have. And so I think that's part of why I like Suzi Quatro. I do like her music just in general, and she was kind of this proto-punk pioneer, but I also like her because Joan Jett liked her, and I like Joan Jett. But anyway, this Record Store Day exclusive, this is actually a double LP. It's not usually a double LP, but this has both the regular record, right, of Quattro, but it also has a second which has bonus singles, B-sides, and rarities. So I'm interested to check those out, because I've only ever listened to the actual album. And of course, right, it's a colored vinyl. And this is, ironically, the color that I think the Distillers album should have been. And that is a very bright kind of lime green. So it works here because it matches up with the color of Quattro. But like I said, if you remember back to what that Distillers album looked like, this would have been the perfect color for that. But both of the records in here are the same color. So the actual Quattro album as well as that B-sides and rarities second LP. Okay, so now we're down to my final two pickups. And these, like I mentioned before, are not Record Store Day exclusive for 2023 or any other year. But they're two albums that I am just so excited that I finally have. That I knew I had to put them at the end because I'm just going to be like smiling and gushing and not being able to focus on anything that comes afterwards. So they're both by the same band, and you can probably tell what the band is from my shirt. And these are two albums from Operation Ivy. Actually an EP and an album. So I'll start with the EP, because it was the first thing that came out of their work here. So this is the Hectic EP. And so this contains 6 songs. So it's an EP, even though it's a full 12-inch record, but it's 45 RPM. I know that, 45 RPM 12 inches exist, but I don't think I own any. So it's kind of unique. Basically, I'm used to smaller 7-inch or 10-inch EPs. And so anyway, Hectic, 6 songs. So we've got Junkies Running Dry, Here We Go Again, Hoboken, Yelling in My Ear, Sleep Long, and Healthy Body, which, if anybody is kind of familiar with Operation Ivy, kind of have some of their music maybe, chances are good you have the compilation CD that came out, or compilation album that came out in the early 90s, 91, which actually contains this album, Energy, then these 6 songs stuck in after Energy, and then 2 extra songs, I Got No and Officer, that were actually from a record company compilation with a whole bunch of bands. And so those are the only 27 songs that Operation Ivy ever officially released. There are some bootlegs that exist that I'm kind of still on the lookout for. There's one called Seedy that I really like, that I have not been able to track down or find yet, but maybe eventually, because I never thought I was gonna find these either. These have always been, never on the in the store, and on the website it's always like, we might be able to track down this specialty item, maybe, and they never have been able to, but they had them, and I was like, I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, these albums are there? And so I was obviously super excited, even though neither are colored vinyls, but that's okay. This one is really cool, though, because it actually has, like, a little booklet. And so with many albums, it's not that uncommon that you might have, like, a sheet that has the lyrics on it. But I've never seen something like this in any of my records, especially for an EP. It's got like a whole booklet that not only has the lyrics and stuff, but it actually explains like the song explanation. Like, it tells the backstory of why they wrote the song and like what the song's about for each of the 6 songs, which is pretty cool. It has a bunch of art that I'm assuming Jesse Michaels drew, but maybe some of the other band members drew. But I know he did like the cover art for most of these, so I'm guessing it's him. I'm guessing it's also his handwriting. But yeah, I mean, it's got information about the band and kind of their like mission statement, I guess, of like who they think they are and like what they're trying to do with their music. And so, yeah, and it has, like I said, this kind of song explanation and lyrics for all 6 of the songs. So that's pretty cool. I've never seen anything like that in any other record that I have, at least. And so that's pretty cool. So like I said, very excited. Hectic EP. So this is just 6 songs, and then of course kind of the holy grail here being Energy. So you would never guess, because this is very similar to the compilation CD artwork, and obviously it's the Running Man guy, or the ska guy, and so, but it's Energy, and this has the other 19 songs. Again, I don't have on vinyl now 2 of the songs that are kind of in their release songs. I don't know if it ever was released as vinyl, but this one has, Knowledge Through Missionary, in terms of the 19 songs that are on here. But very excited. I've loved Operation Ivy for an incredibly long time, since the very beginning of high school, at least. If you've watched anything that I've done with music, like my year in review of Last FM for this past year, Operation Ivy and this album, they actually topped the year for me last year. This was my #1 album of the year, and my number one band of the year. And they are always up there for me, ever since I came across them in my youth. And yeah, so just extremely, extremely excited to have this. I have not played it yet, but I can't wait to listen to these. So I kind of gushed about them in that other video as well, but if you have not listened to Operation Ivy, definitely check them out. Especially if you're into punk music. They are like a punk ska band. They're from the late 80s. Hectic came out in 87, I want to say. Maybe 88, 87, and Energy came out in 89. And that's it. That's what they put out. So they kind of broke up after that. But the band members have gone on to do other things. Jesse Michaels, the singer, he went on to do to form the band Common Rider. He's also got a current band, Classics of Love, which is pretty good, kind of similar, more similar to Op Ivy than Common Rider was even. But all three are quite good. But the guitarist and kind of backup singer was Tim Armstrong. He used to go by Lint back then. But you might know him. If you don't know him from Op Ivy, you might know him from The Transplants or probably from Rancid, because he's kind of the lead guy of Rancid. And so, anyway, this is so excited. Very, very happy about this one. Never thought I would actually come across it. So, super excited. Alright, so that was my 2023 Record Store Day haul. Not the biggest haul of new exclusives, but I'm still very happy with the mix of records I ended up with. What about you guys? Did you go out for Record Store Day this year? Let me know your thoughts and all of your pickups in the comments below. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insider information out of this haul video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe if you're at it to see more videos like this, as well as movie reviews. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.